And I think it's really important to be aware of what it is that's preventing you from getting that case finished. And I had a partner one time that said, the happy file is a closed file or something to that effect. And that always stuck with me of we're giving that resolution to a client. And so this is their maybe once a year interaction with an attorney or more or less, and so their perspective is a lot different than this is my every day, all day. And so having that file completed for them is a really important step in their journey. And so you owe it to them, obviously, to be diligent and get things done. And I think you owe it to yourself and your other practice area growth to say, okay, what is it about this case that I can't get it done? Maybe it's, I don't know what to do. And so I think in those cases, you owe it to yourself and to the client to reach out to someone and get some advice on what to do next and make sure that you're not hesitating to get something done because of a lack of knowledge, or you haven't done the research, or you're just avoiding it because it's going to take extra time. And that's hard, right? And that's, as lawyers, we have the duty to become competent in what we're doing. And so we want to make sure that you're focusing on that and developing that knowledge base. So pay attention to the resistance to finish, identify what that is, and then craft a strategy to get around it. And like you say, just getting that through the pipeline, if you will, is better for you and the firm, and it's also better for the clients at the end of the day because they're happy that it's done. We talk about it around here as kind of the McDonald's rule of law. Folks got to the point where they wanted to go through the drive-through and get their deed at the end of the day. Or, I thought it would be just a one-time interaction and I'd have my estate plan done. Those you have to work on those expectations, but also being aware of the impact of the instant gratification that's in our society today. And the advent of I can just go to whatever AI tool and ask it a question and it's going to give me a very lengthy answer. Why can't I have my documents prepared in the same way? And so I think that's another reason for us as lawyers to get those things done and out the door as quickly as we can. So we're making sure that we're not seeking alternative ways to get our stuff done if we're a client.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying there. Be aware of what is holding you back from finishing it. And I think one thing you mentioned was get a system in place to close out the cases. If you're a family law attorney, after a divorce is finished, after the custody litigation is finished, get that motion to withdraw on file, get that disengagement letter out. That's the type of thing that we're talking about. These are just loose ends that have to be done every single time that you are filing an appearance in a case. You got to get out of it. Otherwise, when you retire, you're going to have a million motions to withdraw to do, and you don't want to do that. So you want to have a process in place and assign somebody in your office to do that. These are things that are routine. They can be done. I think in the estate administration context, there always has to be an accounting that's finished at the end of, in estate administration. And so that's something that always has to take place. Make sure that there's somebody that's making the phone call to the client to make sure that we've got all the documents that we need in order to prepare that. And I think, in my practice, that's one delay that happens is we don't have the documents to be able to start the accounting. And really, if we want to make progress, all we have to do is make sure we get that phone call in that maybe will be a 10-minute phone call. The client will bring the documents to us a few days later, and then we can get started. But if you delay that phone call, then you're going to be however many days delayed, before you can actually start the accounting. And so just take the small step, and then everything else will kind of fall in line after that.